Hey, welcome to another episode of the Blackout Tips Podcast. Find us everywhere you find your podcast because we're going to be there. I'm your host, Rod, joined as always by my co-host,
Karen.
And we are here to do some podcasting. You can listen to us everywhere you get podcasting, but you can also leave feedback. You can go to theblackouttest.com. Matter of fact, look in the show notes. Those are the places you can leave feedback. We respond to your feedback on episodes like today. So with no further ado, I'll say we get into today's feedback. The first people that we're going to shout out are the people that gave us money.
Yes, sir.
May I have your attention? You are now listening to Charlotte's Own, Rod and Karen. We welcome the good folks retired to the Black Driver Tips.
New day, new salary. Let's talk about the people that gave us dinero. J4. Early days of photography. Mako H. We'd love to see it. McCall F. Michael W. Thank you, Mike. Marvin B. Yes. Marvin B. Asia D. Chriselle M. Solana S. We got a one-time donation from Professor LCH, Linda Charlemagne Harris.
Yes.
She left a note. She said, Professor LCH's appreciation of Dim Thrones recap of House of the Dragon. Thank you. Glad to see. Baby. Listen, in these times, it's good to see some wayward members making their way back to the flock. Okay, it's a lot going on out there in these end times, and we glad we can help you see them through. Terrell W hit us with that one-time donation. Thank you, Terrell. Annie P and Are You Okay hit us with that recurring donation. Tom W, Michael S, Dana R, Nicholas Z, Laura E, Bomani Jones, whose birthday was yesterday. Happy birthday to Bomani. Noel W, Rita Macy, Pete B, Renate M, Miss Sonia B, April G, and that's everybody. Thank you for the money. Okay, we appreciate y'all. You know what else I appreciate?
What's up?
I appreciate feeling appreciated. And you know what makes me feel appreciated, Karen?
What?
5-star reviews.
Yes, sir.
You can leave them on Apple Podcasts. Just make them 5 stars. We love to see it.
We do.
We read them on the air as long as they're nice.
Yes, sir.
And then we read them to y'all, and then it warms our hearts. Dropping pearls of wisdom and real talk from Final Dynasty, who says, the Blackout Tips is my go-to podcast. I've been listening for a few years and apologize for not writing a review sooner. Well, listen, you wrote it today.
It's on time.
And that's all we want to see. Rod and Karen have got me through some tough times. Their invaluable information on COVID and keeping it real expressed a lot of the frustrations that I had when I lost my dad to the virus in January 2021 and my mom in January 2022. Very sorry to hear baby. That. They also join me for rides when I have to drive to visit my son and daughter in colleges that are 3 hours in different directions. The segments keep me informed and laughing like Guess the Race, Sword Ratchetness, and LGBTQ news. Oh, and don't sleep on the intro music for each section. It be bumping. Thank you. It do be bumping. We got some talented ass listeners.
Don't we though?
And if you're listening and you are a music person, whatever, we're always willing to hear out another, bump, another something. The only thing I say is make them shorter the better. But if you talented, you want to get your name out there, or whatever, you want us to play your music, people to jam to it, send it in. We're always creating new segments. That's
right.
The broke segment, broke, 5 broke. We ain't got it. Like we could, I'll replace that shit with a bumper in a heartbeat if somebody make it. So and the same thing, I like rotating bumper music sometimes. So it's like, all right, cool. It's got different fucking with the black people music, so just letting y'all know so that y'all, whatever. I appreciate them for introducing me to Janelle James before she became a household name, and Three Guys On. This show is a gem, and I wear it as a badge of honor to be one of their Spotify Ebenezer Scrooge clan rolling in the dough.
Let's go.
I always wonder if Rod wonders about my Spotify name. Yes, I'm a walking oxymoron, brother with the last name White, so me and my peeps are the White family. I saw the picture because I can see the picture of the people leaving the comments on Anchor. And so I seen your family was black, and so I wasn't confused. Although it would be funny if your last name wasn't White and y'all was just going by the White family. That would be weird. You got polls, weekly feedback, and insight into things like being an empath. Oh, and roasting Arby's and trifling folks like Sharon Osbourne. I also enjoy supporting fellow HBCU alums. Keep striving, fam. Y'all are 5 stars for life. Thank you. Shout out to my HBCU alums, my Pell Grant people. That's
Come on,
20K. Shout out to Joe Byron. Looking out,
Joe Anita Baker Byron
for looking out for the Pell Grant wink people. Kamala, I know that show plan. Thank you.
And
I'll see you.
Y'all better cash them checks. I hope don't none of y'all be none of them proud niggas. Take that shit to the bank, bitch.
Yeah, I wish I would let that check sit there.
What? I'll be the first. I'll be like, can't you wire it ACH? Fuck that. Don't send me no goddamn check.
The first episode we have to talk about is our feedback episode from last week. It's called Endemic Status, and it has 4 comments, and they're all Appia from Germany. I didn't fully give up with COVID. I'm still cautious where I can. Our son's birthday is at the end of November, and that seems to be the worst time for COVID. We're religious, but there's something like Catholic name days that is semi-known in Europe. He is at the end of August, so I decide to celebrate his name day with kid guests because the weather is better now. We can do it outside and less chance to spread COVID. Right. He's cool with it. On his real birthday, there will just be cake. Luckily, what I do is for fun is spending time in nature, so there's not much danger. And then she says, we are not religious. Now, what I always fear happened and the lack of no change everything. I guess I don't know what that means. Fear happened and the lack of no change everything. As a white woman, I assure you I can be very annoying. This is a comment about the Caucasian guy, by the way. Oh, yeah. That's I get it if you don't have my same sense of humor about it, but God, there's nothing funnier than black dudes that think white women are like the holy grail. It's just like there's no evidence to back any of this up.
Right, they are normal people. What is wrong with you?
Like, if anything, if you just looking at like historically, like shit, they do worse shit. Like, where's this even coming from? This belief system, like you can get killed messing with a fucking up a white woman. Like, what are y'all talking about?
Particularly here in America.
Like all these viral Karen videos, and you sitting up here like, you know what? A white woman is submissive. Okay, they will let you do anything. I'm like,
what about that says they're submissive?
Set up a lemonade stand in her area, see what happens. Anyway, who was funnier, the Caucasians guy or the Paul guy? Last week we had a runoff between I think we have Carlton,
yes,
or the Caucasians guy. And then some people say, oh, the Paul guy. I said, I got a process here, guys. Okay. It's science. So Caucasians won the runoff. So who do you think won between the Caucasians guy and the Paul guy?
Paul.
Wrong. Caucasians, 73%, Paul, 27%, even less than Carlton.
Oh, shit.
Alfonso Ribeiro. Sorry. He's not Carlton. I mean, kind of. Anyway, the poll when it came to the people with the money on Spotify, 58% say the Caucasian guy and 42% the Paul guy. So it was a lot closer.
Okay,
but he still won. And the episode Q&A, showtime. And Carrie says, at the Apollo. Is that the right answer?
Tonight.
Raphael says, I believe that recency bias played a role in the previous vote over Carlton. I thought that I was getting a second chance to rectify that, but not today, I guess. So Pogs it is, the thick kind. He still lost. Nelson says, rolls my eyes as soon as I see them on the train. Oh, Showtime. The Showtime crew.
Mm-hmm.
I've
heard about them, but I've never seen them up close and personal.
Me neither. 2586. We are the wheel of time. We had 7 comments. Okay, 7 comments. I see it. Long comments.
Had something to say.
MD Aria says, y'all did a great job of breaking down the drama with that black woman therapist. Oh, that's why we got all these comments. As a black man who goes to therapy, I'm trying to imagine how I would feel if I'm scrolling TikTok and I see my therapist on there and she's describing how working with me is tiresome and calling me a motherfucker, and I'm gonna feel some kind of way.
Right. Anybody would.
I think it's kind of funny, because to me, therapy is where you're supposed to be able to get the most vulnerable, be able to open up and discuss the way I truly feel, with hopes that there's minimal judgment from my therapist, or if there is judgment, will help me come to the realization of why I'm wrong. But if I see that TikTok, I'm gonna spend most of my time thinking about what I'm saying, feeling self-conscious, so that I won't be perceived as a dusty nigga. And honestly, will I grow from that?
Right. And also, it's one of those things to where, for a lot of ignorant people, they would be like, this is why I don't go to therapy. You're like, she's not the prime example. Like, she's an outlier. She was doing this shit for social media.
I know I had a black woman who was my therapist, and if I've cried in that office. I've said all kinds of shit. If I would have seen her on TikTok saying that shit, I definitely would. I would not have gone back. I would be like, well, that was it. Fuck her, fuck that. I'm not doing not again, because it's like, it's very unprofessional in my opinion. I think if it was I think the only way that you don't think it's unprofessional is if you so caught up in like, I have to lower this bar for black women because the only way of supporting people is enabling them, then I have to basically act like this is a good thing. Yeah. But I know for a fact the people that say that would not support this from any other demographic of people. So
have somebody, a doctor, go on there and say some shit, or
if this is it could be the same exact words, but you just change the genders.
Right. Everybody would flip
over. They'd be like, nah, I'm not with this. Even when I agree with people that do something like this, I understand like you're doing this basically sacrificing your job. Later in these episodes, we talk about that firefighter who I agree with every word he said. And at the end, I said, I'm not being a hypocrite. I get why he had to get fired. You can't say that shit and then just show up as a first responder working with all these people that clearly are on the other side of this. Like, it's no way. And it wasn't professional. It wasn't even said in a way. He was venting.
Correct.
Like, venting is not for your job.
No,
like,
it is not.
I don't like it when I see like white dudes do the shit where they vent, like we treat white dudes special, like they can vent at their job. I don't like that. No, get fired. Go vent in your off time, not with your face and your government name or some type of way where motherfuckers can see what you're doing, because it's gonna end bad.
Right. And the thing is, people that supported that therapist, all those people were on social media. People in like real life would be like, no, that shit is not professional. Yes, she should be fired. Yes, the job is justified, because I guarantee you, the company that employed her got plenty of phone calls and emails and social media posts going, hey, y'all see this bullshit?
I'm not happy she got fired, but it's also extremely, like, if that was my niece, I'd be like, Layla, take that down.
Right.
Like, come on, man. You really risking your job. And I know a lot of the way people feel about social media and entitlement in their jobs these days is so disconnected from how I grew up. But yeah, it doesn't even matter if I agree with you. I just know certain things is not smart.
Right.
I think a lot of folks, myself included, agree with her message. I think emotional intelligence is lacking with black men in particular, as a group, myself included. I do think we need to be able to unpack a lot and be able to properly put into words our emotions, because for a lot of us, our childhoods, we spent a lot of time having any emotions that wasn't anger or stoicness as soft. I spend a lot of time in therapy being soft in a space I'm allowed to, but tone matters to me. Right. And if you seem like you're going to talk shit about my efforts to grow, etc., on social media, I'm less inclined to trust you. Same goes for Kevin Samuels. Talk to me nice.
Right. What about talk to me nice, particularly on social media? Don't people understand? Like, it's one of those things where nobody, I don't care who you are, nobody likes to be yelled at, but some of the people that do the most yelling want you to talk to them nicely. Bitch, fuck you. You're yelling at me, but you want me to turn around and show you respect? I don't think so.
Also, if you look at a lot of the response, it was, we need to be nice to her. we need to be considerate to her. What about her as a black woman and her emotions, and how come we're always held to a high standard, blah blah blah, right? You're literally making the opposite argument, which is we should be able to be hard on these black men because fuck them,
right?
But for her, we need to be we need to be a lot less reactive. Keep in mind, these black men haven't technically done anything wrong. They've just gone to therapy and not been as open as she would like them to be. That's, to me, those the violations there are not the same. The other thing is, a lot of these same people, and this is why I say a lot of this boils down to like social media groupthink. A lot of these same people are very high right now on like what they call soft parenting, which is essentially just parenting and not hitting your kids and being harsh to them and stuff. Which is something I completely understand and I think is ideal and beautiful, and I hope people do that. But like, what about soft adulting someone? Like, what about the fact that like you can't just be going in on people who didn't really do anything to you all the time, like, right? And what about being soft with yourself? What about the fact that you're constantly in a state of anxiety and anger or some other issue that you're not tackling, and it's causing you to lash out, and you're feeding in the social media echo chamber and these cycles of like, I say something, y'all share it and agree, I say something even worse, anyone that disagrees, I fight them, then I say more. Like, it's a big ass like cycle that people get stuck in. And I think when I watched it, that's what came across the most to me was, oh, she's stuck in this cycle of like going at these guys bucking back, going at these guys, and then it got so out of control she really lost the plot and was like risking her job without thinking about it, because she had been making that kind of content without saying my clientele is black men and I'm a therapist. Like, she had been making that same content about black men, but it was just about black men and them fighting her on the internet.
Right. And the thing is, that's the end result. The shit escalates. There's no de-escalation in a lot of this. As far, I've never seen de-escalation. You know what? You know, if somebody de-escalates, you know what they have to do? They actually have to leave the conversation. That's the only way to de-escalate it, because as long as you're in the conversation, everything keeps ratcheting up. Everything is further until you cross a line where jobs are lost, boundaries are lost, you know, and shit like that. And then everybody want to claim somebody has gone, quote unquote, too far. Well, that was where it was going to go to, because that's what the internet does. And it's also one of the things where a lot of people, particularly online, is full of shit, because these men were doing the things that y'all say y'all want. Y'all want men to go to therapy and learn how to talk and learn how to be open, learn how to communicate. These men were doing that. How are they at fault for doing the thing that y'all want them to do?
Well, I think when you have unresolved anger towards somebody and you're venting, even in a place that you feel like it's some type of private space that's very much the opposite, it's gonna come out like that. You know, I say this as somebody that, you know, when I'm around black men who have unresolved issues about women, I feel this come out, where it's like they're angry about something and it's almost like, but it's not really like, there doesn't need to be anger attached to what you're talking about right now. But this anger is coming from somewhere, and it's something unresolved within you. Like, it's like you shouldn't be going off this hard because I don't know, like a black woman told you something that you didn't like or disagree with, or you know, so I don't know. Let's say, like, this is a made up example, but let's say like you went to open a door for a black woman and she didn't say thank you, and then you get angry about it. Well, the anger is something unresolved within you. Correct. Because it shouldn't be necessarily anger attached to the shit, or especially anger that didn't let the chopper spray at all black women. Like, you're not even just saying this person, you're saying black women be this, that, and I've learned to pick up on that from just being around people where you're like, oh, hey man, you realize that this ain't got nothing to do with what you're talking about? And it felt like she could have used somebody to be like, you do realize this ain't really the same thing. Like, the black men that come to your therapy and the black men that you're fighting with on TikTok, not really the same, you know? Or, you know, even in this case, I thought it was interesting that the article was about men, and then she turned it into black men, which always feels kind of like, you know, a weird leap to make, because it's like the article did no study pertaining to race in there. So anyway, I always find it funny that it's always people who talk about how their parents are yelling at them, being loud and rough verbally with them as kids, and how that left them traumatized that they have to unpack. Trauma they have to unpack. Are now saying that someone who you pay to be vulnerable and unpack that trauma is allowed to talk any which way because professionalism is white supremacy. As Rob perfectly said, if there was someone outside of the marginalized group talking about the marginalized group like that, we would have been mad. Imagine a white woman saying this verbatim without calling them the N-word and shit. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's just people tend to be as empathetic as the group they can see themselves part of.
Right.
Which
and,
is just
and
sad.
they don't extend to anybody else. And you can tell that's why you have the gender wars. That's why you have the war of sexes. That's why you have, LGBTQ versus non. That's why you have that shit.
Yeah. Bamil says, since y'all recapping the new Game of Thrones show, how about a new hashtag? I know you're still planning on using Dumb Thrones, but hear me out. House of the Dragons, hot HOTD, amusing, right? T fucking he, or Dim Dragons, which is a little on the nose. How about catering to your Jamaican contingent and going with Dragons Dim, analogous to Gal Dim, or the Dragons Dim? If you really want to skirt the line of appreciation appropriation, you could even use that Luke Cage Jamaican accent and pronounce it hashtag the Dragons Dim. You may piss off many a Jamaican, but don't worry, you have my cosign, which admittedly is worth as much as the cosign from that nigga that lets that white friend say nigga. Think about it. The official Jamaican of the Blackout Tips family. Thanks, Emil. Miss Mars says, hi. So the podcast Karen was referring to said everything I've been saying all over the internet, including the chat room, when the fake ass articles attempt to get folks shaking in their boots about corporate jobs forcing people back into the offices. It didn't work. This is about the real estate and control and trying to continue getting tax benefits from municipalities in exchange for forcing workers to come to offices, pay tolls and parking, patronize nearby businesses, etc. But we still do midday meetups near the same spots. We take our computers and likely spend more, and the work is still getting done. I might be so clearly able to predict how workers would unite because I spent so much time around union folks. But people aren't stupid. Thanks to the internet, good common sense didn't allow the lie of needing to be face-to-face to collaborate. But those who did say they needed to go to the offices were often exposing the following. One, they don't have social skills and they need to get them if they can only get friends from work and maintain them in the office. Newsflash, folks can see real friends without stepping foot into the office. I hang out with my fave, a woman nearly 20 years my senior, of another race from another country all the time. She is back. 2, they need to institute boundaries in their homes and lives of their kids and spouses if their kids and spouses refuse to let them work in peace. I work from home off and on since 2000. I conditioned my people that I was working even though I was at home. Leave me to it. As for like Karen comes in here and does her job and I just let her do it. Like, why would, unless it's something pertinent, why would I don't need to be in here all day like, hey, what about this? Hey, you gonna do this? Hey, I'm about to go sit. You want to come? Like, at some point it's like, you're doing your job. I respect that. I'm not coming in like playing video games and fucking whatever. I think that, if that's really your big excuse is I'm at home and my kids won't do what I tell them to do, or my husband won't respect my space or something, or my roommate or whatever, that's something you're gonna have to take up with them. As for the booster, I've consulted with my doctor, and your girl could get that new too. This must be how heroin addicts feel when they get the new high that hits the streets.
Come on, I want that new shit.
This means I will have been covered the whole time, just as a booster 2 is wearing off. I'm walking sleeveless into the pharmacy, booster shot. I hear you. And like I said, I almost joined you, but I wasn't 100% sure. And just after that last CVS thing where they said no, I just was like, fuck it. I'm just wearing my mask. I'm staying away from people, and I'll take the shot when it's available. And they're saying possibly as soon as September 6th.
Oh, let's go.
Which I'll be on the first thing smoking.
Right. Make us an appointment. I'll take the day off work, whatever it takes. Fuck that.
Hello, Karen and Rod. Are you ready to return to work in person? This is from Pamela M8. Hell to the no. I'm not feeling it. My company took the pandemic seriously, and we were all home by the end of March 2020. There were several proposed return to work dates that were postponed, and then when vaccines were available, we were strongly encouraged to take it, and good behavior was modeled by senior management, and that they would say things out loud like, we can meet in person like this because we're all vaccinated, and they consulted with medical experts and follow CDC guidelines. Masking was generally required to enter a building, and if the federal vaccine mandates weren't blocked, it's likely that would have also been a requirement. Health and safety of the employees was prioritized. So here we are 2.5 years later, and partially based on the review of those same CDC guidelines, we may be making our way back where masking will no longer be required regardless of vaccination status. It's not a mandatory as of yet. It's just strongly encouraged to go back in 1 or 2 days a week. Can't really blame them because there's all that beautiful recently modeled office space going unused. There's no concern that we'll be going back full time. The company has adopted flexible schedules for most. So many people will get at least 2 days working from home, if not 3. I'm just not at that comfort level where I'm going into an office raw dog in the air with a whole bunch of barefaced people.
Right.
I prefer to watch from afar to see if there are any mass COVID outbreaks and new Omega level variants as a result. I'm not ready, but the world is moving on. I've been saying to others since the beginning that this wasn't the rest of our lives, even though it feels that way. Love your show, and thank you.
I agree. Yeah. That's one of the things. Like, and people underestimate PTSD. People like, just get the fuck back. You're like, hey, dog, hey. Y'all act like people weren't traumatized by this. Y'all act like the world not stopping didn't have some mental effect on people. Y'all act like you watching the news and TV and folks dropping like fucking flies didn't have no impact on how people would respond to this. Y'all like fucking just come on back to work and y'all expect everybody to be cool with the shit. It don't work like that.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting take because at some point people are going to take the plunge and they're going to do stuff that they want to do. I just don't think work is something that people want to do in person if they don't have to.
Agreed.
Because, you know, as you say it that way, you're also very excited about going back to Hornets games. So like you planning on being indoors around a lot of people at some point. The work don't make people feel it's not entertaining. It's like if I can do this without leaving my house, spending gas money, drive, you know, I'd rather just do that. And I think so. I don't even know that that's a PTSD thing all the time, you know. It's just like I've been saying for a while, people are picking the lines of where they feel comfortable, but also what they think is worth it.
Correct.
Some people think it's going to a movie. Some people think it's going out to eat. Some people think it's family events. But every comedy shows, whatever it is, you're taking a risk, but you're taking the risk you feel comfortable taking a risk for. And very few people gonna have work on that list of things that they feel comfortable. If they don't, keep in mind, we don't have to do any of this shit. But if they don't have to, they don't want to do it.
Correct. And also, I think for a lot of people, like you say, these other functions, I'm not sitting in there for 8 hours a day. You know, I'll just say like I'm in and I'm out. It's all a risk. And guess what? Jobs are boring. It's boring. It's work. It's shit to do. It's not fun. So a lot of people are like, I'd rather do the shit at the house versus dragging my ass in there. Now I got the gas. Now I got car maintenance. Now it's a lot. I don't got that when I go to the Hornets game. I just take my ass to the Hornets game and take my ass back home. I got a few hours, then I'm going home. I'm not sitting in here for 8 hours with the same people over and over again, breathing in your face and all. I don't have to deal with that at the Hornets games.
Okay. I mean, like I said, everyone seems to be making the line where they think it's worth it.
That's true. I agree with that point.
You know, what's less risk than that is staying home completely and not even going to the game.
Agree.
But everybody, you know, not going to a movie. Everyone has their thing. Appia says, it's sweet to hear about your love, Karad. You are a great couple. Mr. Appia goes once a week to the office and works 4 times a week from home. Seems ideal to me. I can do my work partially from home, but it's also absolutely necessary that I show up in person. So I'm about 70% outside. I can decide how I do my work as long as I'm bringing in the sweet numbers for capitalism. People seem to enjoy seeing me in person. I get it. I'm pretty charming and fun. It's a fact. Don't hate me. No, I hate you. No,
I don't.
I decided to hate you. Evie says, I don't think what the therapist said was wrong, but there's a time and place for everything, and it was unprofessional. And for the look from the looks of it, she's digging in her heels and doesn't think she did anything wrong. That's why social media can mess your life up, because you let these strangers hype you up when you face the consequences. Is crickets. Yes. Oh my God. I did see the follow-up. Hold on. I'll see if I can find. I think I might have liked it on Twitter so I could keep a track of it. But yeah, I did see the follow-up, man. I was sad, honestly, because I was like, for real? Like you clearly see that you got fired is like you're still trying to like appease the social media like Twitter people off of this, as opposed to like I don't know, having some sense of like, okay, man, I took this L, but I want to be a therapist somewhere, more than like if that's your profession. Like, why would you keep playing like this? These people ain't shit.
Right. And it boils down to what I said before. People that are swept and not trying funny deep in the trenches and they're drowning in a lot of this online shit. This is the bullshit that they do, because there's no separation between that and reality. So in their mind, they're right. They're right online, they're right offline, regardless of how nonsensical, regardless of how irrational it sounds, regardless of, it's one of those things where you be asking, you be like, do you have real family, real friends? You have someone to talk to offline? Do you have somebody like, hey, get your ass off that, sit down, like, what the fuck is this? Like, do you have somebody close and personal that you can talk to in a judgment-free zone where you can really talk to? Because these sound like some underlying issues that are much, much bigger than what you put online.
Yeah, I think for people that don't really, I mean, I can't say this for her because I don't know her, but in general, if you don't really have a true understanding of who you are, your boundaries, your sense of self, you can just kind of be out here and people will have you saying shit because you're like trying to please them and trying to match up with what they're saying. And yeah, it's like you can end up looking stupid, in my opinion, because these people don't actually have to live with you. They don't actually have to say anything that truly makes sense. They don't act like
they don't have to deal with the consequences, repercussions of your actions. They don't have to deal with the fallout of your actions. They don't have to deal with you not having money. At the end of the day, all they're going to do is call you stupid and dumb and a fool and pick at you for the fact that you lost your job, for the fact that you were stupid enough to believe them. Like people like that, they turn at the drop of a dime, because in reality, these are not and never were and never will be your friends. They're not. They give you that illusion of friendship, because people are lonely and they're looking for camaraderie and they're looking for groupthink online. And there's nothing wrong with that, but you have to know where to draw your personal boundaries and be like, this is too much. When you don't draw personal boundaries and you allow the hype horse, you allow that adrenaline and that high that you get from people pushing you and egging you on, regardless of your decision making, a lot of times this is the end result.
That's just like, I'm not gonna let y'all get me fired though.
Right.
Yeah, this is the clip I was talking about.
I've been putting up.
So she's answering questions. Someone wrote, how can we support you? I second everything you're saying. Heart emoji. And it's from Big Bro Bear, who appears to have a white kid as their avatar picture.
Mental health content for about a year and a half and haven't received a fucking dime, because your guys' healing is so much more fucking important to me.
To me, that's some God complex shit. Like, I'm healing y'all with my account, and it's like I'm a martyr now. I've been doing this for y'all. It's like you had a job where you were getting paid. Now, it sounds like maybe she's thinking of moving into like the influencer space, which a lot of these people do end up doing, which is, kind of some cult shit. Where it's like I'm giving people money online to follow them, and then their advice is going to fix my mental health. Is like, which is a big thing on TikTok and stuff. But to me, that sounds really wild. I like, why wouldn't you just go find a therapist or something, or for real that knows you, that you can talk to? because I still remember a couple years ago there was that dude that turned out he was pretending to be a black woman online, but he's like a black gay dude, and everything, his whole story was fake, but he used to just tweet shit like drink water every morning, and then people would be like retweeting this 1,000 times.
I remember that.
Yeah, and it was all fake, and it was like, this should be a warning to y'all not to believe or follow any of these motherfuckers. Like, they don't be knowing, you don't know anything about them. They could log off, take off the head wrap, and go be a GOP. You don't know.
Agreed.
If you feel like giving, here's my fucking Cash App. But honestly, how you can support is never shutting the fuck up. It's true allyship. True allyship stands up in the face of fucking adversity. If somebody is being sprayed by the fucking water hose, ask yourself on what part of the scenario are you at?
What? A fire that you started?
And by water hose, she's talking about like civil rights movement, equating herself to like civil rights activists who've had literal water hoses sprayed on them. She's saying that's what her video and her online presence is essentially is. She's an activist, and this is her being sprayed with the water hose by the police. And if you don't agree with her, if you think what she did was bad, or if you were one of the people that got her fired, then you're the people with the water hose stopping her activism.
This is not the same.
Are you the one being attacked? Are you the one being sprayed? Are you the one spraying the person upholding these supremacy ideas? Are you the one standing on the sidewalk lines looking at people get sprayed? Are you the one telling the person to turn the fucking hose off? That's how y'all can support. This does not just affect me. Think about your choices, guys. This shit's fucking ridiculous. You can support by supporting the unprotected.
No, it does not only affect you. It affects all your patients. Like everybody.
And in this case, power dynamics wise, she's the unprotected, not the patient she was
talking about.
Yeah. Like I said from the beginning, man, I'm not saying this shit just to be on some I was right. I just, I'm just reminding people when I first saw that clip, I was like, she sound like she has some unresolved issues.
Right.
Like this, like that no one's supposed to be in a professional capacity or risking their professional their job doing that. Like I'm sorry, but it just seemed like you're going through something and you're looking on the internet for solutions, and that's not what the internet is for.
No, it's not. And then when the internet does what the internet does, which is turn on you, all of a sudden it's the internet's fault.
Yeah, it's a fine line, man. And like, I have empathy for her because obviously, I don't want to see nobody fucking near tears crying. And
of course not. But
it just makes me think like, but what point is that your boundary issues, your, at what point is it on you? Because this is one of the things about therapy that is completely misappropriated online is everyone always makes it sound like you go to therapy, they tell you that you're right about everything, they make you feel good about yourself, and then you just walk out of there and the world is supposed to do what you tell it to do. And it's like, at least from what I've seen, it's a lot of like, no, the world's not going to do that. Here's how we help you to still be productive in a world that doesn't do all that.
Right.
In a world that doesn't, the world's not going to bend to your will. And here's how you can prepare for that.
Correct.
At any rate, back to this. But yeah, you're right. That's why social media can mess your life up, because ain't nobody gonna be there when it's time for consequences. But Mill says, broadly speaking, it's definitely a generational thing. This willingness to blur the line between jobby job and internet persona. I never mentioned my employer or industry in the wilds of social media. What that therapist did was wild. She had her whole face out there telling people what she does, then denigrating her clients, and still saw nothing wrong. She needs to invest in one of those masks that Shauna in rap shit be using to showcase her bars. A Mill. That's a great point too about the whole social media aspect of it is your face was already out there. Maybe your government name wasn't out there or whatever, but like this was, at least in your mind, worth risking a job for. And then I'm sorry, and maybe people hear it differently than me, and maybe it's just my experiences and what I've been through. But when I hear her talking about like water hoses and I did this for your healing and shit, to me, I don't hear the oh my God, she did. Oh man. What I'm hearing is like, oh, you think this shit went to your head. Like you really think like you changed something with your TikToks and now you're being like penalized for being like, nah. There's other people that are black women that talk about mental health on there all damn day. There's a ton of people, but they not doing that. And they not worried about losing their job because they're not going on there saying wild shit. They didn't just get you for being on TikTok. Like that's not what happened. Anyway, are you ready to return to work in person? Yes, I never stopped working in person, or no?
No.
50% say no. 37% say they never stopped working in person because everybody didn't have those kind of jobs.
Agreed.
And 13% say, yeah, I'm ready to return to work in person. I miss these guys. I hear you. And on Spotify, the poll was 7% say yes, which is a lot lower than 13. 44% say they never stopped working in person, which is higher because they probably like CEOs and shit. And then 49% say no, which is about to say. The Q&A, social media is not your friend. Katrina says, especially now that we're in the era of making content that's commentary on others' creative content, that's more incentive than ever to be absurd with the analysis. You like cheese, you must hate Jews. Yes.
Right, the shit don't even the connections make no sense.
And even though people want to say derogatory to like dismissively, like, you know, cancel culture isn't real, I don't know what y'all worried about, blah blah blah. I think that's when people look at like major head like celebrities and shit, like, oh yeah, Dave Chappelle, he's not canceled. Like, yeah, but you can get canceled, you can lose a job, you can it's just a job. Well, when you're trying to make your ends meet, it's just a job is a big thing when you're not a celebrity or some shit. So like, if it's real, then act accordingly. Understand that that the shit can't happen, and it really does seem to operate on the whims of a handful of people, because that woman had been making that kind of content for a long time without it going viral.
Right.
So she had already been risking it, and maybe that's one of the reasons she felt safe. Like, and like, why is this one the one y'all want to get me out of here for?
She feels so betrayed now.
Right. I've been talking shit about these niggas for a blank amount of time,
and this is the one y'all choose to. Right.
Yeah, I get it. You know, I definitely understand. And it's just, to some extent, you have to be prepared for the fact that motherfuckers will do some foul shit like that. And you hope it doesn't happen. You try not to go too far, and you hope that you have a job that, you know, I know if I have a friend that she had something happen that went very viral online. A lot of people, in my opinion, kind of sold her out. But at the same time, she probably shouldn't have been online with the job she had, you know, kind of kicking it with these kind of people in the first place. So she ends up, they dox her, they fucking, like, she has to go into like the office and they talk to her, and you know what they said? Hey man, look, we see what happened and everything. We're getting calls about you and stuff. We're not firing you, but you got to get off of social media.
Right. Like,
you can't be, this ain't for your job, blah, blah, blah. And she just did. Whereas it seemed like a person, she didn't go, I'm a martyr. I did this for y'all while the water hose is pointing at me. She was just like, yeah, what the fuck? I don't want to lose my job for this shit. And I think that's more of a reasonable response than what this was.
Yeah, for a lot of people, it's fun and games.
Yeah.
Until they come after your job. Like, it's fun when they go after white people's jobs. It's fun when they go after other people's jobs. But when it's your job on the line, all of a sudden shit gets real.
Raphael says, I always love the blackout tips for making me realize that social media wasn't the real world. I began to slowly get off the urge to fight online. Now I'm in the NFT sales. Netflix doc soon. No time for online fights. Kisha says, hell no, it ain't. Yeah, it's not your friend, man. And it's always interesting when, like, for lack of a better term, and when quote unquote woke people, it's always interesting when like woke people do buy into the social media apps are for us and our friends, because I'm like, aren't y'all the main people that don't trust Zuckerberg and Jack
the people who make these sites
and realize that this is all
billionaires?
Yeah, this is all just like commercial messaging to make you think this shit is what's happening, but in a majority of cases, it's not really that, because when I'm hanging out with my friends, it doesn't happen. Some random person come over to our table and start calling us the N-word. Right. That happens all the time on social media. This isn't really reflective of my life. The next episode was 2587. You mess with the flaming bull. And E. Bailey says that firefighter was spitting. I often think about why police unions don't advocate for gun control and mental health dollars while we're at it, since apparently they're always in fear for their lives. Can't imagine they would get much pushback. That's their own talking point, and it's parroted by their supporters. Their slip is showing with that. It infuriates me. Appia says there seems to be a social norm in many countries that college equal good. It's also here to some degree, but we don't have student debt. It was obviously pretty helpful for us, and we could buy a house in our early 30s. But as far as I know, going to college doesn't mean getting a great job or for everyone afterwards. Here, it highly depends on the subject. Study IT, get a job. Study cooperative culture, not so much. Or is it comparative culture? Not so much. I feel for the people with student debt who can't find a job. I have no sympathy for people who run with bulls and die. Don't do it. Seem like animal abuse anyway.
Right. And the thing here is it used to be years ago, you got to agree, you could literally write your check, but as time went on, it's not like that anymore. And so it's similar to that, where people get these degrees and they go out and get these jobs or have expectations to get these high paying jobs, and they don't get a job where they can actually pay these loans off. It becomes a problem.
Yeah, the other thing is the loans have grown exponentially. The cost of school has grown exponentially. Mm-hmm. So even getting a good job, which is true, you do get a good job most of the time if you go to college and you end up in a different pay bracket. When the debt is strapped to it, then it is less effective. Like, it's no longer the leg up that it was even even 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. Sean says, while police organizations support gun control, there are still a lot of idiots that support the 2006 reinterpretation of the Second Amendment as an individual right. While there are many pro-gun propaganda sites out there that suggest police are against gun control, I couldn't find a reliable source. Anecdotally, I know some police officers stateside that are full on amosexuals and support the right to own guns over the right to not get shot. But most police I've talked to stateside have not been of that ilk. That being said, first of all, Sean, you're probably right on that. I think a lot of the spokespeople are the ones that we see for police unions, and police unions aren't necessarily the same as police. Like right. Like a lot of those people are just like, they might as well be a politician, and it's there, and many, if not all, are Republican and very loud. And anytime like a black person is shot by the police or something, they're the ones that make excuses for it. So I think police messaging is what most of us are picking up on, and it's the lack of admonishment, because even if you say they are against it, well, the things they choose to speak out on are normally police do nothing wrong ever, and they needed to shoot this person because they were in fear for their lives, and we're the thin blue line protecting the rest of the man. Like it's a lot of propaganda, and none of that propaganda is emboldened by them saying, hey, we would like gun control to protect our officers. It's always more like it's more like we're doing our job getting guns off the street, which is a different message than we need help, protect us, we are scared.
Yeah, and also it's one of the things too, to where you can see that there's a separation, because in some areas they have the black police union, and it's called black for a reason. Like, they go, we are separated from the people who go out here and act like he the Batman villain. Like, we are not fucking down with that. Like, it's a separation there in some areas for a reason.
That being said, this reminds me somewhat of the 2009 VMA. Sure, Kanye was right, but he shouldn't have said it. In this case, the firefighter was right, although I'm unsure whether it should have been left unsaid. Well, it's because you agree with it, right? I know that's what it is for me. Well, I'm like, I get that he can't come back to work, but I'm glad he said it. Police who do not follow Dr. Wu Lien Ted, the inventor of the mask for mass use of 1910s, snubbed by the Nobel Prize Committee in 1935, saved millions of lives. Advice: and put on the mask or follow Dr. Jenner's, credited with bringing the vaccination to the West in 1796 at the refining lady Montagu's. I gotta tell you, listen, I appreciate you being smart, Sean. we can do without the wiki. Let's just get to the.
We get it. You a smarty,
you're a smart
you
person.
Smarty, arty.
You got wiki. I respect it, but
you smarter than the podcast.
As the person that has to read, this, I'm just saying all these brackets and parentheses. It's kind of killing the punch of the. If I can step into my profession as a professional writer, it's kind of killing the punch of the sentences. So I had to go through the paragraphs. Anyway, what is West 1796 at the refining lady Montagu's techniques 1721 based on Chinese practices 900 CE. See what I'm saying? Don't nobody need to hear that. This is now turned into a Dennis Miller joke. Police who do not follow.
And we are glad for people like you. We are glad
you don't have to do that. You don't have to don't try to make him feel better. He gonna get these jokes. You don't have to try to make him feel better. He gonna get these jokes. You rode up here with all these brackets and asides, looking like Dennis Miller, and I'm gonna laugh at it. It's funny. If they can't take a joke, then they'll stop writing the show. But it's just a joke. We're a comedy show. It'll be okay. Police who do not follow Dr. Wu Lin Tin's inventor of the mask for mask use in 1910, snubbed by Nobel Prize. That's how Dennis Miller jokes out. Anyway, innovation and got a vaccination should not get an honor guard. Stupidity is not honorable. E. Bailey says, thank you for sharing. I'm glad to know I stand corrected and a little encouraged reading that article. I had to largely opt out of the mainstream news since 2016 for my own sanity, so I wasn't aware that I guess that a lot of police organizations do want gun control. Mm-hmm. If only they would vote like it.
Right.
EV says, out of all the races in November, I'm watching the one in Georgia most closely because I will be sick to my stomach if that idiot Herschel Walker gets elected. I live in, I thought you were talking about Stacey Abrams. And I live
one too.
I live in Pennsylvania where that jackass Oz is running. I think Herschel had way too many concussions. It's like he's running neck and neck with Clarence Thomas for King of the Coons.
Oh no.
I hope he disappears and takes his annoying son with him. And lastly, Pretty Tomboy says, first of all, that fireman came with the heat. Good shit. So to the student loan situation with Biden is infuriating me. Biden did something that would benefit us for decades. And all I'm hearing is that it wasn't enough or it's unfair.
Right.
Not enough. My nigga, 10 to 20K reduction in student loans could be a payment of $300 to $400 a month and back into someone's pocket. That's substantial. I have no idea how this will affect the economy, but I also am not concerned since we never care how tax breaks and the billions given to businesses affect the economy.
Right.
Yeah, I definitely understand the argument, and I'm not gonna denounce that argument about inflation and shit, because maybe we will. I mean, we're in the middle of a big inflation thing now. And that's coming off of PPP loans that a lot of those got forgiven. Shout out to the Republicans that got them. And like you said, tax cuts on the rich people and corporations. Shout out to Joe Manchin for closing that loophole. Never thought I'd be saying that. But at the same time, it's like, even if they're right, I don't see how it wouldn't behoove people to have that money back in their pocket to put into the economy.
Right.
They're just gonna end up spending it anyway. And it's debt that may even never get collected for some of this shit.
Right.
So, I don't know.
When I was listening to a podcast, they were talking about this. They was like, hey, it's a percentage of this that they were never gonna get that money back.
Yeah.
Ever.
I used to follow this YouTuber who got on the mic immediately after Biden made his announcement and said that Biden needed to pay for all his student loans. And I then went on to say, he ain't voting for him unless he does. Good luck with that, nigga. I unfollowed that foolishness. It wasn't even a campaign promise that Biden made, but he listened and did more than any president has. People are ridiculous. Yes,
they are. It's ridiculous.
Shout out to Kamala Harris. That's whose plan this really was. Biden did not become the nominee based on this.
No, we did not.
Like, he was already killing it in the primary and shit. It was Kamala's plan. And he's done this with several other stuff. I saw an article from the Atlantic the Nation, a Republican, please. And the headline, I didn't read the whole article, but the headline was like, looks like we got Elizabeth Warren for president after all. And I said, good. Because they hated Elizabeth Warren and her policies.
They did.
And they hated her. They were so scared of her. She's going to tax the billionaires. She's going to do this. Well, Biden administration is doing a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
They are taxing these big ass corporations and the 1%. You know, maybe, I think it's just that thing where Democrats think our side always needs to be critical of power. So we need to always be critical of our own people that are winning. Even as they enact things that we claim to want, we have to be like, and that's not enough.
Correct.
But some of these motherfuckers also are making content. You said that YouTuber, right? YouTuber?
Yes.
They are making content on moving the goalposts to even beyond where they said. So there are plenty of them who are like, man, we ain't getting no 10,000. We ain't getting no loan debt relief. Joe Biden is out of touch as soon as he passes it. That's not enough. How come he ain't come to my house and suck my dick? It's like, wait a minute.
Right. You actually might be benefiting from it, but I don't know that. You just on YouTube fucking ranting.
Also, all my student loans are paid off, but I'm still partying for us because this is amazing. Same here. Why would you be upset that someone else has come up? People are weird and I refuse to let them steal my joy. But yeah, basically, I've just been partying. I haven't even been arguing with these folks. If you stupid enough to try to turn this into bad news for somebody, I don't know what's wrong with you.
Right. If you stupid up and like, well, back in my day, well, bitch, it didn't cost as much either. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, just whoever's trying to turn this into a bad news, I don't understand you. We're just not people that would be friends. My favorite part to all of this is Biden coming out like, listen, everything I do won't benefit everybody. I've done multiple things to benefit people of this country as a whole. And yeah, all you people complaining ain't say shit when tax breaks are given to the rich or billions to the airlines. So shut up. Anyway, thanks for reading. Listen, that speech he gave, bars. That's the nigga I voted for. He was talking that shit.
Mm-hmm. He was like, there's some hoes in this house. There's some hoes in this house. You see him pouring them out.
He was naming
He was
names.
like, this Republican and this Republican and them niggas didn't vote on shit. I was like, let's go, Joe Biden.
Then the official White House Twitter account was this Ewan Republicans. Like Marjorie Taylor Greene was like, how you giving people money? They need to earn this money and you can't just give government handouts. And then the White House was taking and showing like, this when you apply for your PPP loan and this is when it was forgiven. So this is like a government handout or this is different?
Right.
Man, they did that shit to like 3 or 4 of them Republicans on social media.
Because they was hard and just nobody should be forgiven. It was like, but you forgiven though, right? It's okay for you.
Oh, I love when you talk that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Talk that shit, man. Don't let these motherfuckers talk you out talking that shit. Because that's what I voted for. I knew what I voted for. I knew that was how he felt about these motherfuckers, but everybody was like, why? He keeps saying we need to come together and he's having meetings. I'm like, that's the fucking job.
Yes,
the same way you go to your job and you lie about like your coworkers, he gonna do the same goddamn thing. Because what y'all don't understand is the opposite of Trump is not going in there and being Democrat Trump. That would just fuck the country up even worse, throw us into more chaos. The opposite is professionalism. It's saying the right thing. It's doing the right things, but it's still sticking to your guns. And doing the right thing as a Democrat is, hey, if the Republicans would like to help, I'm always here to listen. But if they are going to continue to be unhelpful, I will continue to just look at the numbers we have and roll out the plans we like. And I think that's what he's been doing. And that's what I've been saying he was going to do. So like, I'm not surprised. Like a lot of these motherfuckers acting like surprised by this shit. I'm like, bruh, it was obvious. Even when I remember him holding meetings and people being mad that he let Susan Collins come to a meeting. I said, you think he listened to Susan Collins? You think when they left, he said, let's do Susan's plan? Or do you think he said, oh, they gone? Kamala, let's go ahead, bro, with the plan we had. Thanks. Here's him talking.
To buy a home, to be able to start businesses, to do the things that need to be done. And I found it absolutely fascinating that some of the folks who were talking about this is big spending are the same people that got $158,000 in PPP money, including what's her name? That woman who anyway.
Including what's her name? That woman, Marjorie Taylor Greene is her name.
A whole lot of Republicans got a lot of money. The very people criticized. So it's just not. I think it's a good thing. It frees a lot of people up. It's going to grow the economy. We still have a way to go, but I'm optimistic. Borrow money to buy a home.
Yeah. So yeah.
Now I can see me doing that.
I don't know. That shit was shady.
What's the name?
Listen, or maybe he's just an old, forgetting man, and that
nah.
you know, and it's everything that they said about him. Either way, that was some good shit talking.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but yeah, and it's just I like that energy, and I hope he continues to keep that energy because that's, to me, I think it goes a long way. I actually saw like Charlie Crist or somebody that's running for like governor in Florida, where they asked him about Biden and tried to like get him to like denounce Biden kind of. He was like, they were like, do you hope Biden comes and campaigns for you? And the thing, when you have a president that has like low popularity numbers, you're supposed to run away like, oh no, this is what they did with Obama in 2010.
Yes, they did.
End up losing all them seats.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that he was like, I hope he does come. Joe Biden's kicking ass. He's great. Like, are you seeing what's happening right now? And he just started naming some of these wins that are happening. And I'm like, yes, this is the energy. Don't buy into the cynicism. Don't let them talk y'all out of the wins and touting the wins that you're getting.
Have a backbone, you know, and it's also one of those things where the South was right as far as being the push to put Joe Biden up, because we understand white people. Only a white man can do the shit that he does, and everybody kind of quote unquote respects it, even though they want to argue him and shit like that. No woman can do that, and because of the way our country is structured right now, and no black person could do that, and that's something that people aren't willing to admit. And nobody will willing to say these quote unquote low information people, how y'all joked on us. You getting your student loan forgiven. Do you think anybody else would have been able to do that outside of Joe Biden? I don't think so.
Yeah, I've been seeing a few people come around and say they were wrong, which has been awesome to see. Because I'm tired. People were wrong. I was right. I want to see people admit that shit before we move on. Like,
yeah, calling us dumb and slow and ignorant and all that type of shit.
This campaign speech he gave in Maryland, it was just bars.
Folks, we're just 76 days away from the midterm election. 76 days. And to state the obvious, there's a lot at stake. So I want to be crystal clear about what's on the ballot this year. Your right to choose is on the ballot this year. The Social Security you paid for from the time you had a job is on the ballot. The safety of your kids from gun violence is on the ballot. And it's not hyperbole. The very survival of our planet is on the ballot. Your right to vote is on the ballot. Even the democracy. Are you ready to fight for these things now? Well, then you need to do one thing. Vote. Vote.
I love it. I love it.
Yes, vote. Everybody want to talk about everything else. If you want shit to change, you've got to vote. You don't have another option. You know, everybody want to do everything else, but voting matters.
Yeah, and there's other quotes. I won't play them all, but talked about Donald Trump defeated former president. Talked about there's some dude that heckled him and said that he stole the election. And he replied to him, ignorance knows no boundaries. He said, I'm determined to ban assault weapons in this country. For decades, Big Pharma won, but not this year. American people won. He said, you know, this thing we passed is a big deal. Some might even say it's a BFD, which is a big fucking deal. He was in his bag. He on climate change deniers, he said we also had to take on climate change deniers, and guess what? We beat them. So yeah, man, he said if the MAGA Republicans win control of Congress, it won't matter where you live. Women won't have the right to choose anywhere. Let me tell you something. If they take it back and try to pass it, I will veto it. MAGA Republicans don't have a clue about the power of women. Let me tell you something. They're about to find out. There are not many real Republicans anymore. By the way, your sitting Governor Hogan, he's a Republican you can deal with. He is. I respect conservative Republicans. I don't respect these MAGA Republicans. Do you want to put your Social Security in the hands of Ted Cruz or Marjorie Taylor Greene? He was just talking shit. He's saying names.
Yeah, he knew that woman's name.
If we elect 2 more Democrat senators, we got a lot of unfinished business we're going to get done, folks. Look, we're going to codify Roe v. Wade. We'll ban assault weapons. We'll protect Social Security and Medicare. We'll pass universal pre-K.
Come on, universal PK.
In this moment, those of you who love this country, Democrats, independents, mainstream Republicans, we must be stronger, more determined, and more committed to saving America than the MAGA Republicans are to destroying America. Come on, man. Get the fuck out. Y'all gonna tell me this? Hey, all right, I don't want to grass that, but y'all know what I'm saying. The poll, FN Mecca, the artificial intelligence rapper, should be able to say the N-word, shouldn't be able to say the N-word. Can 90% agree with you, should not. 10% say should. Takes all kind, I guess. Takes all kind. And the same poll, 92% to 8%. So almost exactly the same on Spotify. You never pull over at the economy end was the comment. Renee says ditto with a red roof in. Hilton, whose name is Hilton, says economy end goes hard. Some Super 8s and Motel 6s are good too. Now, when your options at the exit ramp say budget in, Scottish in, or Palace in, that's when you keep driving. I don't know. Maybe I'm bougie. I think I'm beyond.
I told you
all the ends now.
Y'all know I'm bougie. I like hallways.
Think I'm beyond the ends now.
I open my door. I want to walk out and see another room number. No, thank you.
I guess you could say the ends don't justify the means for me anymore.
My building has to be more than 2 stories, my nigga.
I think the ends are out.
They say they keep the light on, but do you want to be there when the light go off?
Raphael says, now K-Rod, what happened to the sleeping man in what those of us on the border of Wakanda refer to as his village people came for him? There are Africans named Adolf Hitler. So you not Isaac Newton. I don't know what this. I know there was a guy named Isaac, but it wasn't Isaac Newton. I'm sorry, I didn't get this one. Carrie, you know what he's talking about? What happened to the sleeping man is what those of us on the border of Wakanda kind of refer to as his village people came for him. I must have forgot the story. I'm sorry, Raphael.
I may have to. We covered.
I didn't mean
much,
to say
baby.
yeah. I'm so sorry.
It wasn't no purpose. Trust.
Roger says,
so much.
Rod Theory withstands in the motherland. Damn, that news anchor was fine. Guess I'm gonna be watching Ghanaian news. Oh, there's an article. What happened in that article with the African stuff?
Oh, what that dude? Is it one where the dude got his penis?
Is that so? Is that what?
Sleeping?
So wait,
that's probably what.
Cutting your penis off in the night is his village people came for him. That happens enough that y'all got to turn for it, or am I misunderstanding what you was talking about?
I hope not, baby. That's not good at all.
Yeah, no one should have a turn for that. That's crazy. 2588 stab and frisk was our Game of Thrones recap. We got 9 comments. Brooklyn Shoebay says, I'm not excited for House of Dragons, but I am excited for the Blackout Tips recap of House of Dragons. Damn, I was laughing so hard and I realized how much I missed your recaps. Go ahead and have fun with them dragons. Pamela M8 says, are you excited for House of Dragons? Nah, I'm excited for your recaps of House of the Dragon. Sorry, the last person said House of Dragons. I don't have HBO and I don't plan on getting it. Well, I mean, damn, I do write a TV show on there, so maybe take a little bass out the voice. The last time I had HBO was the first season of Sex in the City. If it ever becomes available at the library or DVD, I'll check it out. I do not like watching violence, stabbing, gore, etc. So your recaps really helped me when I watched Game of Thrones because I knew what was going on. I could look away, and y'all got them jokes. I appreciate it. Bamil says, I'm going to break one of the rules with a spoiler. Daenerys, 172 years from this series timeline, is going to burn the shit out of King's Landing. Ha ha ha. Spoiler alert, nigga. Well, it actually be like 172 years plus however old Daenerys was, so not really a spoiler alert. Jawan says, I'm so excited. I'm leaving a comment before I listen to this recap. Nigga, we back. Rod's voice. Ramsey D. Jenga says, this review was joy, 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 from the Negro character names to the show title, Stab and Frisk. I'm here for the weekly reviews. Appia says, I'm too weak to watch this show as I was for Game of Thrones. I like shows where people stay more in one place. Hope I don't have to apologize to Game of Thrones now. I don't think so. It's a white people show, so it's not like when you talked all that shit about Beyonce. Dolomount says, I'll admit I wasn't really hyped till I got this recap episode in my feed, but that's because I'm tripping. I love Game of Thrones. Why did I ever think this show wasn't going to be good? Going to be here every week for sure. Yeah, they already renewed it for season 2, by the way.
I saw that. I was like, well, damn.
I mean, 10 million people.
Not of that, y'all shut the shit down. They was like, okay, everybody was everybody lying? Okay, season 2.
Mr. J says, I'm ready for all the T-shade mess, drama, betrayal, and downright foolishness that is Game of Thrones. Otto Hightower is a messy bitch who lives for drama.
Right.
So he's my new problematic fave. I'm glad Drogon melted that chair because who wants sepsis from their interior decor? I do wonder if a WXYZ section is what killed Mama Lannister when giving birth to Tyrion. Oh, yeah.
You know what? That might make sense.
If so, I see why Cersei hates that guy now because woo child, I hate that nigga too. Yeah, you know what else it reminded me of is Stannis. Remember when Stannis Baratheon put Shireen to the pyre and let her burn up so he could have a chance at the throne? Like, men will throw women aside in this series for a chance at power like it ain't shit.
Keep that little girl.
Pretty Tomboy says, great recap, y'all. Y'all had me crying. I need this over these complaining. I gotta find something wrong with everything damn reviews out here. Yeah. I don't like those either. And it's always like this, like, I would have written the show and all the characters would be smart and no one would make mistakes or bad decisions. I'm like, who the fuck want to watch that boring shit? I need people to fuck up. I need bad guys. I need people that's willing to like make a mistake. I need good people. I need bad people that's willing to do something good for a second. Like, give me some shit that throws me off a little bit. Like, y'all want some real simple black and white, you know, G.I. Joe rerun type shit. I'm like, nah, man. I want to feel like I don't know what's gonna happen next. If this is even a good person, if they're a bad person, I like that stuff. I also appreciate you saying no spoilers. I never read the books, but this entire story is written, and these book niggas are itching to tell y'all. I know. Yeah. And then, like, I think also there are people that are concerned with, well, the book said this, and they didn't bring up this part on the show, and, you know, what about this background information about this character? And I'm sure we'll get into it because I think I got an email like that. The thing is, in a lot of cases, it's not really adding much to what we have to say. And let's give the show a chance to tell us. You know, like if this guy comes from the richest family in Westeros, let the fucking show us that he comes from the richest family. Why do we need to know that that's in the books? Well, it'll be pertinent to the show and it'll come up, or it'll never be pertinent to the show and it won't matter that we know that or not. So I just, you know, I think it's just hard for people to let us do our thing, and they don't see it from the way that I'm seeing it, which is, hey, I'm looking at this from a person that's crafting something. Okay. I don't know Game of Thrones like that because I don't read all them books. Like, there's plenty of bigger Game of Thrones fans than us. What there aren't plenty is better Game of Thrones podcasts than us that recap this TV show. Guarantee you that. You're like, you here for a reason. Our shit hotter than them.
Come on.
But yeah, the funniest thing I heard is when that guy got his junk cut off, he pooed it. He did, and I noticed it on the replay too. I just, it was so ridiculous. I was like, what? What? I must have heard that wrong. Did someone else fart? I don't know.
Did someone else fart?
Did y'all hear that on your TV? Because I didn't, but it makes all the sense. Yeah, I heard it. We back, fam. The poll. Are you excited for the House of the Dragon? The House of the Dragon. 68% yes, 33%, something like that. 32% no. And same question on Anchor, Spotify. 86% yes, because obviously they can afford HBO Max and all this stuff. So they
pay.
They got the 4K DVD collection, Blu-ray collection. Yeah, I get it. And 14% no. The air for a day though. That was the Q&A. Chrissy says Savage Chris says Savage is up there with All Hell Brand the Broken. Right. Jacob says Renaria's Dracarys hit a little bit different. Yeah, so she be rolling them R's. She got that old school Valerian. Renee says, I need a matte option on the poll. I'm excited more for your recaps. Well, I didn't give you a matte option because I want you to
you got to make a choice.
Search deep inside yourself and make a real choice. Aaron says, not me thinking Damon is gay because he hates his wife and he can't perform on his mistress. I don't think it occurred to me that he was stressed about becoming heir. I don't know how he missed it because like his mistress didn't give him a long ass speech about it. So it seemed like they be fucking, you know. BB87 says that was cold. The baby wasn't even cremated yet. Shaking my head, at least wait a week. Yamonte says, I like them Caucasians, especially the ones with the white hair riding dragons. Them double dragons, double D's. Philip Goodell says, my boy passing that knowledge down from his ancestors, Aegon. Oh heavens, Kevin says, all hail Ryder Karen of House the Blackout Tips, first of their name, king and queen of the podcast game, and the first men, lords of the 7 streaming platforms, and protectors of the realm. Y'all are well, awesome. Thank you. Yeah, we are protectors of the realm. And our house is House Jackson. It's official. It's on the poster behind me if you ever watch it. Can y'all see that? Let me see if I can show it to y'all. But
you might have to move it, because I think with us on it, there you go.
Y'all can see we have an official House Jackson sigil that a fan of the show did. So but yeah, cold-blooded says Myra. Shanna says disrespectful. Michael says would have been a fire tweet, wouldn't it? And Raphael says amazing how much has changed since Game of Thrones to House of the Dragon. I thought it was part of the angry mob. I thought I was part of the angry mob, but you guys showed me that I could choose happiness, and I did. I prefer that and love it, and you too. So excited. Yeah, man. Listen. You control your own emotions. You control how you react to things. And I think also like setting boundaries is super important because I know me personally, as I've said many times on this show, I've had times in my life where I felt like I got lost in trying to either please others or fit in with other people. And in a lot of those cases, the internet can be a big part of it and make you feel like I need to say these things. I need to fit in with these people. Oh, we don't like this person. We don't like this thing. Well, me too.
Right. Nobody's above getting trapped in that.
But finding myself and being able to say like, no, actually, I don't agree. Or maybe I need and not even in a disrespectful, argumentative way. Like that's just not for me. I don't agree with it. I don't want to fight you about it, but I don't have to shrink myself down to fit into your paradigm. And fan culture is a big no for me because of that, because it's so much peer pressure and groupthink that it often ruins my time. And I prefer not to even fight with the people. Like I not even on some like I want to go battle them. Like I actually don't care what you think that much. And you can't make me not enjoy what I enjoy.
Right.
All right, voicemails. We got one voicemail. Haven't heard it yet.
Hi, I've been listening to this show for probably like close to a decade. Never left a message. But besides the fact that I love it, I wanted to comment on something you said regarding there not being a penalty being the last person to want to call you in regards to COVID. And I'm going to disagree with that. there's definitely a penalty. As the person whose comment you just read, she's got anxiety and agoraphobia. So there are mental health consequences for locking yourself in the house for long time. How to escape some people, I'm not really sure, but the people who have decided that they will never go back to them, or they cannot imagine the normal, that is a mental health problem. That type of anxiety is not normal. It is not something that we should just accept as something that's not going to affect the rest of your life, just like long COVID can affect the rest of your life. So people will have to ultimately make a decision. Which risk are they willing to take? And right now, you've got less of a chance of dying from COVID than you do of becoming suicidal from depression from being locked in your house for 30 years. So there's some things to consider. No downside to saying that. Love this show.
I kind of felt like you were whispering that. I'll try to repeat it for people that probably can't hear it. Because I don't know if everybody heard it, but she was basically saying, when I was like, there's no risk really to being the last person to stop wearing your mask. She was like, well, people that stay in the house, they have risk of suicide and depression, and so there are risks, and it's a mental health issue. One, you have no numbers or facts to back that up when you were like, there's a less chance of dying of COVID than dying of suicide because you stayed in the house. I would challenge you to give me some actual numbers to be like, this is how many people killed themselves because they stayed in the house with, during the pandemic. I don't know that those numbers directly correlate to anything in that way. But let's say that that's true or whatever. I still think that I wasn't saying stay in your house and never come outside. I think I was talking about being the last person to stop, wearing your mask or whatever, or the last person that didn't want to go to, a crowded sporting event. There's no penalty to that. You don't have to be the person that does that. There's people that before the pandemic weren't doing those things anyway, and nothing was happening to them. They're not wrong, to be like, I don't want to go out and socialize with folks. I think that kind of I don't know, that kind of stuff that maybe you need to talk to a mental health professional about is something that existed before or after the pandemic, and we're not out of the pandemic. And so a lot of the messaging that we're getting right now is a little bit two-sided, right? It's, hey, go out, do things, don't worry about it. But at the same time, it's, well, yeah, you can still get sick, and yeah, long COVID is still happening, and there's at least 4 million people out of work because of long COVID. Mm-hmm. So these are real people,
right?
And I would bet if I got to do a poll of those people and said, would you rather have gotten out into the world, got your mask off, and now you got long COVID and you're dealing with depression, which is an actual side effect, anxiety, which is an actual side effect of long COVID in many cases. Would you rather have that, or would you rather have kept your mask on and been in your house? I bet you a lot of those people be like, I'd rather have my health and my mask, and I didn't get to go out and do a couple more things, So I don't know. All I'm saying is that if you're hesitant right now, that's fine. And if it is a mental health thing and PTSD or whatever you need to get over, which a lot of us have, contact a mental health professional that'll walk you through that. But don't just, because you see everybody out, be like, well, clearly there's no danger, because there is danger here. It's just, what are you willing to accept, and what are you going to make your exceptions for?
Right. And everything is a personal decision. You have the right to choose whatever you want to do, and other people have the right to say, I'd rather stay my ass at home. I'd rather work from home. These are things that I feel comfortable in these particular situations. And yes, there are a percentage of people that do have mental health problems, but people feel like these issues were always there. They were there before the pandemic. They were always there.
Yeah, and my girl, my dude Andy Klein just got COVID. Like, Andy vaccinated, he do all the right things. He did stand up one fucking time in the pandemic, and he got COVID off of that shit. Like, it's still out there, and however people are handling it, I think it's fine if they're, just looking at the risk and deciding what their risk assessment is. I don't think there's, this idea of, they tried to do this to make school start where they're like, what about the kids? The kids gonna kill themselves. It's like, okay, so the kids go back to school, they get COVID, they give it to their caretaker dies. What was worse? Not having in-person school or not having a mom? What do you think is worse? Like, there's no, and I said this at the time we talked about it on the show, there's not good choices in a pandemic. It's just what can you deal with and what's less bad for you.
Right. And it's one of those things where, when you talk, like I said, when you talk about these things, mental health is always a thing. But there are people with good, sane minds that are like, my mind is good. There's nothing wrong with me. And I choose to stay at home. I choose not to go out in public.
If anything, though, it feels like it's kind of like a weird gaslighting thing. It's like you look on TV and everyone's acting like it's not happening. And it's endemic in a way that makes you feel like, well, I guess this is endemic. There's nothing more to be done. I should just go out and do whatever until I get it. And I think it's okay to be like, nah, I'm not ready to go back to the gym, or I'm not ready to do whatever it is because I'm not comfortable with it. And the only person that's got to live with that decision is you.
Right.
But if you get COVID, you don't got to live with that decision. You or anyone else you infect. Like to me, like I said, I'm not knocking it, whatever your decisions are. I'm not knocking the people that are going out doing shit either. It's just,
I understand.
I don't think I think people are vastly overstating this penalty of folks aren't going outside, so clearly they're going to kill themselves. I'm like, yeah, that line doesn't quite. I'm gonna need you to support it with some facts. That's all.
Some numbers and stuff.
Yeah, like that's more of a vibes thing for people. It's like the people that say we got to go back to work and see it in person, and you're like, yeah, if you do a poll of the actual employees, they'll tell you we don't want to go back to work.
Right.
So you're making up a scenario to justify how you feel about it, but is that really true? I don't know.
Right. And that's fine. Like I said, that's fine if you feel about that, but nothing you can say and or do can make people go out. And for some people, and Mary brought up in the chat, for some people, them actually going out and actually catching COVID, it's that statistic to say this shit affects your mind. So for some people, they go, no, for me and to keep my mind at ease, I would rather stay in the house. And that's a choice too.
Well, literally, we have data that says a certain amount of people, even that get mild COVID infections, end up with depression and anxiety. So the mental health issues you're telling people to avoid by staying in the house, like you need to get out the house to avoid this, you can get them from this disease that we don't truly know all the ramifications of. So yeah, it's just make the decision you feel comfortable with, but I'm here and I'm gonna stand on it in 2 feet. Don't let anybody make you feel a certain way. Like if you don't, like if it's truly a mental health thing, you got agoraphobia or something like that person wrote in, yeah, maybe you should talk to your therapist. You deal with that. I'm never gonna, even when that person would try to cite, like my therapist told me, I said, don't call here for me to counterman your therapist. Because your therapist is your therapist. I know very little about you.
Right.
That person may know some shit that's like, listen, you were dealing with this, you were dealing with that before the pandemic, after the pandemic, it don't matter. You need to work on these things. But like agoraphobia is, I don't come out the house. That's different. But as far as like taking precautions, taking risk factors into account, those are things that you can do personally. So you can be like, I'm gonna wear my mask, or I'm gonna go outside to the park where I don't have this risk of catching it. I think that stuff is important too. And I just, so I don't know. I don't want it to be equated with like, you gonna kill yourself because you stayed in the house. But I also agree with a lot of what was said, which is that we all have mental health stuff coming out of this thing, going through this thing,
right,
and whatnot. I just, I think I've been clear. Let's get to these emails. COVID got me effed up, but I'm not sick. This is from Call Me Scoob. Okay. Hey, Karen and Rod, I've been listening to y'all for 2 years. Found a blackout test by searching black in the search bar, and y'all were the first to pop up.
Hey,
definitely a 5-star podcast and my number one source for all things news, especially coronavirus news. I'm double vaccinated and boosted as of August 21. Okay. Sunday, August 21st. Boom. There you go. So like last week. COVID done made its way into my friend's home. She and her 9-month-old baby girl have COVID. Her other two kids, 5-year-old and 2-year-old, tested negative. Results from the at-home test kits. She is vaccinated, 2 shots, not boosted. Thanks to y'all, I was able to convince her to get the shot.
Come on.
She had plans to get the 5-year-old and 2-year-old vaccinated, which we talked about a few days ago. She's going in today, Monday, to get the official testing done. I can only hope the other 2 kids are negative. Thanks for all that you and Rod do and continue to do for the Blackout Tips community. 2-time freeloader, Darren. And he says, P.S. I'm an OTR truck driver and usually stay caught up on current episodes while being on the road a lot. I go back and listen to episodes that I haven't heard before, and once I reach an episode I already listened to, I go back even further, probably a few hundred episodes back. Currently, I'm listening to episode 1914, Crips. Y'all's opinions and thoughts on older episodes haven't changed much, and it's cool to see that. You know, we got to stay consistent, baby.
Mm-hmm. And if we do change, it's because new information that's came out.
Yeah. Also, man, I really appreciate that our show convinced you to tell somebody to get vaccinated. That's why, because man, I'm telling you, there were many times
relentless on that, but yeah, there were many times Roger would look at me, do we still need to talk about this?
I was just thinking, I'm like, is this even something people care about anymore? You know, you look outside and you see like people just out like it's nothing happening, like it's no risk, and at some point you're like, okay, maybe I'm becoming too fucking paranoid reading all this shit, and you know, and hey, it's their right if they don't want to get vaccinated and shit like that. But I don't know, somebody need to do this job, and it look like a lot of the big news outlets and stations have given up. Like they're not covering this shit as much. It's definitely not as much a priority. I remember when the Daily used to have like an episode or 2 a week about COVID-19. Now the Daily can go 2-3 weeks and not talk about this shit. Like
yeah, but coronavirus is like, okay, y'all can forget about me, but it don't mean I forgot about you.
Yeah, so I'm glad to hear that. 2586, we are the wheel of time. This is from Aaron, who says, hello to Karen only. Just kidding. Hey, Rod. I work at a university here in the West Coast. Their mascot is the same as a popular condom brand, and school started this week. Oh, damn. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. So you work at you work at Max
you work at Lifestyle. Y'all out here changing lives like the lifestyle.
You are. I didn't know
the kids better be careful. They might pop up with babies in education.
I didn't know they had that in California.
Me either.
This nigga work at Magnum. Okay.
Right.
So what is that, the University of Southern California Magnum, or is that Magnum's Tech?
We out here changing lifestyles.
You know, I went to
degree in lifestyle.
I went to Durex. Yeah. There's not a lot of people don't know about the HDCU universities. Historically dick condom universities.
Is your college your college got a sensitivity field? Y'all sensitivity field everything?
My degree is real for her pleasure.
Yes.
Okay.
My degree is lamb skin.
I minored in latex, but all right. I work. This school sends reports on daily reported COVID cases, and in the summer, when not many students were here, we get reports of 7 to 15 daily reported cases. On the first day of school, there were already 52 confirmed cases on campus. Since I ride public transportation, I'm already wearing a mask, and I just wear it to my office. Since I have an office and not a cubicle, I take it off if the door is closed. I just started this job a month ago, and I was worried about how cautious my new coworkers would be with COVID. I was happy to see that most of them wear their mask in the office. Well, it's also because y'all smart. Everyone usually, I mean, y'all got degrees and shit.
I mean, right? Y'all out there going, COVID ain't gonna change our lifestyles here at Lifestyle University.
Everyone usually takes it off if they're outside of in their office with the door closed. But if we need to talk to each other, we put on a mask. Sometimes we just talk with no mask on, but a majority of my coworkers wear the mask more than I do. The student workers all wear masks the majority of the time as well. However, on campus is popping. Like 95% of everyone on campus is like, what's a mask? I do try to wear my mask outside when I go into buildings. It's like COVID never happened. This is a juxtaposition with the mask usage on the train and bus I take. It's more than 80% of people are wearing masks. Side note, I wish it was summer again because there were not that many people on campus, but now I have to order my lunch like an hour before because all these dang students showed up. Too many lines. I had nothing to do with what we talked about, but I hear you. That was a side note.
Too many lines, and I don't want to catch COVID, so I ordered in advance. I don't blame you, baby.
Leonard Brother says, them Thrones is back. Nigga, we back up in this bitch, 10 million strong, and it would have been more if the app hadn't crashed.
Right.
These lying ass niggas said they wasn't coming back. Mm-hmm. They said fuck them Thrones and the entire universe just because they didn't like one season. Then they cried when they couldn't get in the door to see them dragons open tonight. These niggas put a 7-1 record. Hell, some would say 6-2. Either way, the OG show was way greater than its worst moments. And even in those moments, it was better than most shows could ever hope to be. That's all I'm saying. I put some respect on that shit.
Right.
It's like if the Bulls dynasty was known for the 2 championships they didn't get when Jordan retired. You know what I mean? Like, that's how it feels like people talk about Game of Thrones, where it's like, I'm like, that's one of the greatest dynasties in NBA history. And they're like, but what about them 2 times they didn't win? I'm like, what, nigga? What are we talking about?
Yes, what?
It feels great to be back in the Westeros streets repping House Jackson. I really enjoyed the first episode, and I'm looking forward to seeing things unfold. Shout out to Corliss or whoever is keeping his locks intact. I'm pretty sure black salons are pretty hard to find in King's Landing. Mm-hmm. Oh, and before now they got a Yayo Cuts with a Z. Oh, and before I go, I got to give a huge shout out to whoever called that baby Caesarean Targaryen. Yeah, I saw that on social media and died. That shit had me cooking. Anyway, I'm out now. Peace. Yeah, so many people were saying Caesarean Targaryen, like, because people wrote me on Twitter and stuff like, oh my God, when you said that was so funny. I was like, I'm pretty sure I said I saw someone say that. If not, that's what I meant to say, because I didn't come up with that. Everybody, it was like a street joke by the everybody was calling that little baby Caesarean Targaryen. They're on right saying, Rod, listening to you and Karen discuss that idiot Herschel made my blood boil. The problem is that most black Georgians see him as stepping fetch it football running Uncle Ruckus, but because UGA won the national championship and the moron endorsed him, whites are seeing him as the perfect Negro to get rid of that woke BLM pastor. Trust me, we know we will not vote for him, but can we trust white women? I hope so. I mean, no, but I don't know. After Roe v. Wade, maybe. We'll find out in November. Stay tuned.
We'll find out in November.
While listening to Georgia PBS podcast in the Senate race, they were saying that many white Georgians were voting shotgun Kemp and Senator Warnock Kemp based on the economy in Georgia and Warnock because of abortion ruling. But Walker, that's so stupid, by the way. God, white people are stupid as fuck. If you vote for Kemp and Warnock, you know how fucking dumb you are? Let's vote for the guy to try to get abortion legal and the guy that's going to definitely keep it illegal in the same idiots. But Walker's handlers know Warnock would wipe the floor with him if he debates him. So they're making all kinds of crazy excuses not to debate him unless it's a town style, hall style in a white evangelical church.
Right.
It remains to be seen if some of these less informed black men will vote the right way or follow after their football fantasy. Yeah, we'll find out.
Mm-hmm. Only November will tell.
Yep. Let's see. Julie says, a prayer for the frying, an ode to Rod and Karen. How, Lord of light, must I bear this hell? Dicks chopped, hands lopped, a human dragon's fried skillet. Through all our weekly terrors, should I tune in for some more? What saith my weary soul? Doth tender heart will it? Back and forth I didst go, perplexed and chagrined. No, you can't. Yes, you can. Don't be silly. Beside, what if they feature your agent Melisandre, a mere 100 back then, a young filly? When the Lord gave unto me an answer, a vision, a dream, in a snap. Waste not thine prayer, for the world is a mess. Find your joy in Rod and Karen's recap. Y'all are the best. Thank you for the joy and much love to you. Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
That's very nice of you.
Oh, and it rhymes. Thank you.
Iman says, niggas and dragons. Hey, y'all. It's me, Amon. I haven't gotten to be as active with the feedback as I used to, but I had to write in and express how excited I am for your Game of Thrones House of the Dragon recaps. I really liked this first episode. All the actors did an amazing job. I really love the set design as well. Seeing the Godswood tree and Old King's Landing and Dragon's Keep was really cool. Of course, my favorite part is seeing niggas in Westeros. Thanks, y'all, for recapping this show. Love y'all. Amon.
Thank you, baby.
Yeah, that is one thing. They started this shit off with some niggas. We did not see no black people in the first Game of Thrones for a minute. It was shit. Trying to think. We saw that pirate nigga like 2 or 3 seasons in, and that one dude that looked like if Tyler Perry was a linebacker that worked at that worked in the town with all the gold and shit that Daenerys spent time there. But yeah, it was a big deficit of blacks at the start. House of the Dragon feedback, EVE. High Rod and Karen, I decided to give the show a chance despite the last episode of Them Thorns. I think she meant Them Thrones, and I'm glad I did. I mean, I don't know what all the haters are talking about, but there was plenty of blood and nudity. I haven't read any of the books, but I just know that Daemon is going to be a problem. He seems very problematic. I just pray those black babies don't come to any harm. Look forward to your recaps. I find it best to not even root for the blacks. Okay, this is a dangerous show. Niggas is gonna die.
Yeah, they are,
and not just the black ones. All kinds of people gonna die.
Yes.
I don't get too attached to nobody. Crystal says, I don't know where else to write this. It's called student loans. Folks really out here complaining that Biden only canceled 10K or 20K. These people are the most do nothing, complain first, never satisfied ass people I've ever seen. Why is it always all or nothing with liberals? Can we take even a day to be happy for folks? This does help. Like I read, who knows how accurate, that 50% of borrowers will have no student debt after this. I swear they are acting as if this isn't a huge win. Yeah, it was I saw something. First of all, it may be 50% now because of that 20K,
for the Pell.
Not and it's more than just for the Pell. There's some other programs too. It's more extensive than just 10K.
Right.
But the point I was gonna say is, I know before they even put it out, analysis of the plan was at least 53% would get half of their shit, and like some other percent with like 30-40% or whatever would have no debt for student loans after this. That's pretty fucking huge for a lot of people.
So they can go do things and possibly move out the house, like do the shit that everybody claim. Why you at home with your mama? Bitch, I'm in debt.
Yeah, that's millions of people.
Right.
I have no student loan debt and I'm happy for everyone. So many folks on this. What about me? I have way more than 10K. So would it have been better that he forgave none? I promise I feel sometimes like niggas are never happy, and I wouldn't waste my time giving them ish because I'm just going to be immediately met with complaints. Shout out to Biden for starting the reform and relief. And yeah, Crystal, when I think about that, the one thing that really gives me solace is that Joe Biden is a straight white dude, and honestly, he can take it. I think these niggas are wrong. Don't get me wrong. I think a lot of shit they're doing is more about content and going viral and having certain opinions on social media that will, whatever. And then of course, and kind of like fitting in and shit. And then of course, there's also just the fact that a lot of these asks were already kind of entitled asks. They weren't necessarily, and I don't mean like people that like, I can use 10K off my loans. I mean, people that are like, if I don't get $300,000 in debt relief, I'm not voting Democrat. Like, you're entitled then. Because there's a bunch of other shit and programs that are passing, but you're doing well enough to feel like you won't be affected by those programs not existing.
Right.
Then you really ain't the person that need that much help in the first fucking place. It's that kind of thing. It's like, I'm cool with trans people having to deal with job discrimination as long as I get my loan money paid off. But if not, fuck them trans people. Okay, well then you weren't down that bad. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
Dune Dragon says Them Thrones is back. Hey, Karen and Rod, let me cut to the chase. Corliss Valerian, a black man with platinum hair. Am I the only one thinking his middle name is Cisco? Okay. Cisco also fuck with them dragons. Okay. I think that was like one of the names of Drew Hill's album, right?
Into the Dragon, yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, listen, maybe we seeing something right here. He going straight to the Wild Wild Westeros. Okay. Yeah, it was Into the Drew was the title.
Oh, Into the Drew. Okay, I'm about to say I said Into the Dragon.
You did say
I'm thinking Bruce Lee, my bad.
Yeah, but I think it was a play on Enter the Dragon. And I think you're supposed to feel that way. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like something about Drew Hill and dragons feels like it goes together. But
I'm about to say, yeah, to get the proper title, I have to Google it. That's something dragon.
Something about dragons. I don't know. But yeah. He's going straight to the Wild Westeros. Speaking nigga names, the biggest one is Otto Hightower, right? That's an old black man name if there ever was one. Sound like the lead singer of the Temptations that left the band before they got their first record deal. Yo, Otto Hightower sound like a center in the ABA. Like
yes, before they became the NBA.
Yeah, like back before the teams had moved and shit.
Yes.
It's like, oh, the Minneapolis Lakers select Otto Hightower. Yes. During the stab and frisk, they pointed out a guy and shot at rapists. Please, someone go back and tell me what they cut off, because it did not look like any part of the nether region I could recognize. That's you know what? I don't know. I thought it was like a sack, but I don't know what a penis looks like when it's been chopped off.
Me either. I couldn't tell you.
So
I wouldn't be able to identify it.
Somebody asked Jeffrey Dahmer.
In the other body parts that was there.
Somebody asked Jeffrey Dahmer. The scene should have stopped right there and gone to commercial break. This episode of House of Dragons is sponsored by Manscaped. The Lawnmower 4.0 keeps you smooth with no nicks, cuts, or dismemberment. That's more like Manscaped. I don't think they want those kind of ads. Thanks for the great show and keeping Black love alive. Peace, Dune Dragon. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Shavonda says Black therapist. About that Black woman therapist, I agree 100% with y'all. She was telling the truth, but tone matters, especially since she presented herself in her professional capacity. Mm-hmm. I get that she's frustrated, but she should have talked to her own therapist about that. Folks online talking about she didn't reveal any identifying information, but her clients know she's talking about them.
Right.
Imagine what her clients thought when they saw that. Below is my text to my homegirl who was low-key defending this lady. I had to reframe it a different way. So this is her reframing. Imagine your gyno posting a TikTok after you had an appointment. And I'm tired of y'all hoes with these floral smelling pussies. Stop using scented shit. I mean, she's right, but now I'm wondering if she's talking about me and how do I feel about that? Right. Do I want her to be using my cooter for social media content? Not gonna lie, I'd switch gynos. Like, do you want to be an influencer or keep checking my cooter? That's all I'm saying.
Do you want your business or not?
I always go by the cooter corollary. That's what I always frame these things. That's often how I measure things. Like, would you say this about somebody's cooter? Then don't put it on social media. That's the shit they're gonna be teaching at therapy school in 2022. This one about to be a lesson in somebody's book.
Right. You know what they're gonna tell you? The therapy, they were like, look. Everybody here, I know we all here for a therapist. Everybody in this room, get a therapist. What? But no. I understand y'all are therapists, but therapists need therapists. Go out and get somebody to talk to about the shit that you hear so you can be better at your job.
Yeah, I think they already do teach that. And I mean, they not gonna tell you to do that shit. I'm saying the new lesson gonna be don't be on TikTok like it's your therapist's couch. It's not.
Right.
Some motherfuckers are not your friends. You will get fired.
And don't put it on TikTok. Go to your therapist.
Yeah, like this shit is stupid. T Sterling writes in, hi Rod and Karen, I'm gonna cut to the chase. Back in July, I got a new job and it's been amazing. I told y'all a while back I worked at a hospital just doing what I needed to do to pay the bills. But I'm so glad that I found your podcast, because not only did it continue to inspire me as a podcaster, it kept me sane while I endured the toxic work environment I had to work in. I could go on about the differences between where I was and where I am working now, but it's definitely things you both have discussed numerous times on the show. But this job I have now keeps me pretty busy in the best way, working on audio content all day. And also I have a very short commute to and from work. This makes it difficult to catch up with the show and even new music that comes out, but I'm doing my best, even if it takes a whole week to get through one episode. But back to the job, I do have to thank you, as y'all helped me in a small way being on my video resume, which I was told to share with my future employer, even if it's in its unfinished status. I buried the lead, but I now work at ESPN. I didn't think I'd ever get in because I really don't follow sports, or at least I didn't before August. Now I feel like I can follow along with any of your sports themed podcasts, which I know you don't need to know sports to enjoy, but for me, it helps.
Yay!
But I got hired because of my production skills, and it's the ultimate validation after years of learning and grinding. It's a dream to follow your passion, and I wish that for everyone. Anyway, that's my bittersweet news I wanted to share with y'all because you guys feel like my friends, and I haven't been able to keep up like I used to. I can't even pick and choose episodes based on the title because they all sound like must listens. So I'm still listening to episodes from July, but I will remain subscribed and a tipper on Spotify because I got money. Yes, money.
Yay! Take your time, baby. We ain't going nowhere. We'll be here when you hear this in October.
Thanks again for keeping us entertained and informed. And then he linked the resume video, but I don't know what the rules are on playing that for all y'all niggas. So I won't. Katrina says Joe Byron finally took me out to dinner.
Oh shit.
Hey Queen Karen. Hey Rod. Man, this week y'all been heavy on the Karen before Rod stuff. I like it. I feel it. Do you think? Long time listener, first time caller. I love y'all so much. Been listening for years since I moved to the Midwest. You've been my background noise for commuting, going to the gym, walking around the office back in the day. It's been such a good time. Now for the formalities out the way. Joe Byron, what's up, baby? On the student loan forgiveness plans, I'm so excited, y'all. This whole year has been a blessing for me and others in my scenario. I was a recipient of the Pell Grant, and I'm just shy of $110K a year. So $20K out of $50K of my student loan should be forgiven by this recently announced plan. The other $30K should be forgiven due to the recent $6 billion settlement agreement, as it was accumulated at a for-profit Scooby-Doo school, as Karen said.
You better come on through.
Joe and Kamala are busting it for the gram.
Let's go. Yeah, people act like real life people aren't being impacted by this. Don't nobody give a fuck about y'all bitter asses. People are like, my shit is getting paid.
That's my favorite thing, is watching these people try to spin this into something bad. And I'm like, if a motherfucker give me $20K off my loans, and don't let it be one of these compiled programs like this person just brought up, it's nothing you can say about this man that's gonna make me be like, you know what? You right. We should have got 40 acres and a mule. Like, nigga, I'm debt free. Fuck you. Go be sad by yourself.
Go be sad by your fucking self.
You see,
pay your loans. Ain't nobody stopping you for paying in full with the interest. Pay it.
You see, I got my associates at one of those predatory schools. Oh wait, I said that part. The student loan forgiveness. Oh wait, did I say that? No, I didn't.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I got my associates at one of those predatory schools. They prey on Black and brown communities.
They do, and they don't tell you that they're not like they don't tell you none of that shit. So you going, oh, it's a legit university. You getting there? You be like, oh, this piece of paper don't mean anything.
And advertise themselves as the best option for non-traditional students. They guarantee job placement and that my credits would transfer. I'm sure you know how that went. I ended up a freshman at a state college not long after graduation. After a few semesters, I was too in debt to finish, as I had to work full-time to pay them loans. Thankfully, YouTube was around. I was able to teach myself back-end development, which landed me a cushy tech career. I can't say the same for a lot of my peers from Scooby-Doo school. One girl I know racked up $70K from a bachelor's in criminal justice, and last time I checked, she was working at TJ Maxx. Fuck them for profit, shiesty ass, predatory ass pieces of shit. Yes! I'm still mad, y'all. They were legit out here ruining lives.
Yes, that's why I say it should literally be against the law for Pell or federal, anything with the federal government. If you are not accredited, why is my tax money going to these for-profit bullshit? This should not be allowed.
My student loan forgiveness initiative is huge. The student loan forgiveness initiative is huge for Black and brown people, and I didn't see it coming. Yeah, the fact that it's so Black, and I know like the goalpost movers, the Ice Cubes, they'll be like, he didn't call it the nigga plan and say it's only for Black people, but Pell Grant, 72% of people that get Pell Grants are Black. You brought up the for-profit schools are mostly targeted at Black and brown communities. Mm-hmm. These are direct payments, direct forgiveness going to Black people. And honestly, it's the smart move, because when they did decide to give money directly to Black farmers, it's now held up in court because white people are decrying some type of discrimination, even though they aren't the ones that experienced any of the discrimination that led to these Black farmers having to deal with this shit.
Right.
But yeah, canceling some student loans and taking on the predatory schools that preyed on us. Yes, Lord. Now we should be able to buy a house in the next year instead of waiting longer. We moving up. Generational wealth, anyone? Dems did right by us on this one. I'll be celebrating all year. I have to give this the golf clap. On your Dim Thrones recaps, I'm also excited. I get to catch y'all's commentary from the first episode on. Y'all piqued my interest back in the day with your recaps, and I started watching Game of Thrones so I could get the jokes. This time around, since y'all on YouTube, I could cast y'all on the big screen and kiki with my play cousins about these nigga names George be giving his characters. I could fall at Harold with 2 R's. This nigga George, right? He tried to slide that one by me.
That shit the best.
He tried to slide that one by me because like Westerling feels like a white name. Like I don't know no black Westerlings. But I went to go look at the character bio. It wasn't just Harold, which is black. Harold with 2 R's. Okay, who are you trying to prove this to, George? That's what we need to be suing him for. Like y'all mad at Aquafina, but George been out here using our names to get
being all creative and shit.
He been using our names to sell these dragons for hot 25, 30 years, and y'all let him slide. Okay, I see how it is. Anyways, I'm finishing the House of Thrones recap. Thanks for all y'all do. Y'all be easy. Bing bong. Thank you. Professor LCH writes in.
Oh, snap.
Feedback, Them Thrones recap. Hi, Rod and Karen. Just a short note to let you know that your return to recapping Them Thrones was epic. Oh, I hoped it would be. You know?
Yeah, your mama said she enjoyed it.
I'm not gonna lie. I was a little nervous because I was like, I hope these niggas haven't hyped us up. It's been a few years. Hope they hadn't hyped us up to a level where they listen and nothing we say, they be like, oh, that's right. They just talking about a TV show. You know, and that was how my anxiety works in my brain. But then as soon as we started doing, I mean, one, you know, if y'all could see my notes, y'all would be like, oh, that's why this shit different. You know, it's like 5 pages, all these segues and jokes and in jokes and names and shit. So I'm just glad it came off that way. And that people, man, it was so good to see people on social media like, oh my God, I love this joke, this point, you know, multiple people, you know, I saw somebody shared it that I didn't even know listened to our podcast. I was like, this is what I was really waiting for. This is the best recap, And I was like, yes. And I didn't know this, but one of the jokes I shared about the black dude Corliss not wanting to drink that wine, it went so viral. It's Reddit, it's Facebook, it's
across the other platforms. That you know it's serious.
Everyone keeps tagging me to it, but I you know me, I like a lot of my notifications turned off and stuff.
Yeah, you mute. Yeah, I
don't want to participate in the conversation, but I like that people shared it, and people are like, go listen to their podcast, all that stuff. Cool, man. It is white people mad as hell at that joke. What? It's a joke.
A joke.
It's not to be taken seriously at all. They were like, see, this is why I hate race bending, because these things come in. I was like, what? You can't see that? I'm just joking, baby.
Can't see the irony.
Yeah. Calm down. It's like, see, there's no racism in Game of Thrones. There's just power. And I was like, yeah, one, don't nobody believe that. It's always some racism.
Right.
Like,
what the fuck was Danny marching for then? Get the fuck out of here.
The Unsullied just all happened to be brown. Suck my dick. But it was like they were so mad, which gave me extra joy. I was like, oh, look at them being mad. We back. Them Thrones. From the Kanye intro music, he really did give us art before overpriced homeless looking clothes that had to be dug out of Gap trash bins. Sigh. I know. I miss them too. I miss the old Kanye. To Rod's dim names commentary, Karen's laughter, and the relevant historical brilliant cultural references dropped from sports, Twitter, family dynamics, code switching work life, politics, that pandemic. Everything about this recap was on point. That Cooley High death anthem, Cash Money taking over. Oh my God, genius. The entire recap had me running the pews and of course laughing. There are no others who do it like you do it. What a triumphant return. All hell, Professor LCH. Oh,
that's sweet.
All hell you, and what a triumphant return to the feedback. Okay.
Yeah, listen. We miss you. We know you be busy doing other things.
Can't nobody hype us up like LCH gonna. Linda Charlemagne Harris.
Yes,
she gonna make sure we get hyped up.
We love us some Linda Charlemagne Harris now.
She gonna make sure we know what we were. I know that. Stab and Frisk. This is from Scott, who says, Rod and Karen, the only good nickname for the House of Dragons is Hot D. Yeah, I've seen people float that one around. The only reason I'm not using it is because I've too many people using it. It's not as hot as, I'm sticking with them thrones, maybe them dragons. In the Ice and Fire books, the reason the Targaryens practice various forms of inbreeding is because they believe their ability to control dragons is inherited. The family fears that if they dilute their bloodline too much, they will no longer be able to use the dragons to rule Westeros. All right, thank you for the footnote. Mm-hmm. Also, Corlys Velaryon, the black man on the Small Council, is the richest black man in Westeros. Mm-hmm. He's the Jay-Z.
Ain't that the thing? We got to be excellent.
He's canonically richer than the Lannisters. He's a legendary settler who built up his family's wealth by trade and exploration. The Velaryon family is also distantly related to the Targaryens, which has interesting dragon and riding implications. Oh yeah, I guess if they try to keep it in the family, maybe they can fly dragons too or some shit. But yeah, appreciate the footnotes. Mm-hmm. We will probably make up better reasons and funnier reasons to bring those same things up, though. I'm not gonna lie. Alicia writes says, salutations, Sir Rodimus and Lady Karen of the House of Tips. When y'all said y'all were gonna review House of the Dragon, I channeled Karen and shouted, yes, niggas. Is that one of Karen's ad-libs? She does have flame emoji after it. So
yes, flame. Yeah, I love me a good old flame emoji.
The night it aired, we weren't a part of the less fortunate Negroes who struggled with the HBO Max crash, because this husband of mine has some probably illegal app on our jailbroken Fire Stick. We watched it with no complications. As the ending credits rolled, I shouted to my aforementioned husband, "We back, baby." I just like how you let us know that y'all didn't have to deal with the struggle. I was picking up.
Ain't nothing wrong. Don't nobody want to steal.
I told my mom I'll never be like any of those Negroes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, about to see that membership go up because people was like, I just bought an app.
Well, that's what I'm saying. No, the app was where the people got fucked up. She didn't get fucked up because she wasn't on the app. Listening to y'all recap made me think of how much I really miss being in this world. I really love these shows. When y'all talked about the stab and frisk scene, I thought the same thing y'all did. It was interesting seeing those white people get fucked up by the police. I know. I was like, is this how they feel all the time? Where it's like, oh, shame what's going on with those Negroes. Some good tea tonight.
So they're beating those them white people like hotcakes.
Yeah. Oh, you hate to see what are the fathers in the community? I knew the Targaryen style Jamie was gonna shake the table when he gave Al Pacino's halftime speech from Any Given Sunday, but damn, I didn't know they was gonna be out there cutting off tattywhackers. Lord. One thing about this show and Game of Thrones that I see differently than everyone else is the time period. Even though this all takes place in the mythical universe, most people see it as the past. I get that. But I think because I watched Wheel of Time, I see it as a far future, especially when I look at the stupid ass backward stuff many Republican politicians are stomping for. I feel that our future will look more like this or some Mad Max shit than the stuff we see in sci-fi movies and TV shows.
Right.
I mean, I guess if they win, but I don't know. I'm not fitting to let these niggas have it.
Keep fighting. But when I say right, like that's their vision.
Yeah, I get that. That's their vision. The reason I don't think I don't think of it as far future is because you don't see like buildings, cities, even if it's just the remains of a city, right? Like these distant apocalyptic future things. Normally, it's like like The Walking Dead. They've all returned back to the days before electricity or some shit. But you still know what Washington D.C. looked like. They don't have anything like that, and so I just think of it as a place and time that never truly developed. But yeah. Especially when I'm looking at students, I can see our current society developing into some shit like this before I see or it becoming a futuristic intergalactic utopia. Well, yeah, I don't see that happening either. Like, if anything, we'll be like some District 9 shit. But like, it's the ghetto, and then
we'll be down there with the robots. Wasn't them robots?
No, you think about Chappie. District 9 was the aliens, right?
Oh, aliens, my bad.
I'm trying to think what the robots. Maybe there was robots. I don't remember them.
I remember robots. My bad.
In District 9, yeah, that probably were. Yeah, that's probably robots and aliens, right?
I think so.
Anyway, the whole point being, the aliens and that they were sending they like refugees here on some like go over there, Earth the ghetto. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like if there's technology and futuristic shit out there in the world, that like Earth is where aliens take their kids and drive through to be like, see, this how it could be. You mad that I don't got McDonald's money, but you could be down here with these motherfuckers.
You don't want to be like Earth,
just spewing goddamn carbon into the. You want to deal with some climate change?
You're destroying the planet.
Well, get on. You want to run away? Well, why don't you go to Florida? Go to Florida then. No, they're like, I just want to go home. Okay, then, ET, shut the fuck up, and we're gonna go back home. But don't you ever? No, that's what I think. Anyway,
they've been using us to make a point. City's dumbest. This is what happened.
If people like Mitch McConnell and Ron DeSantis had their way, they will push us back to a feudalist society, one where women are only meant to have babies, elect the class to rule everyone, and slavery exists. But I'm a whole ass pessimist, so you can't go by me. Anyway, well, it's not just that, but in that society, you know, they wouldn't go back to like they would still have electricity.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, nobody else
like
would.
Mitch McConnell ain't trying to go back to like a land before AC and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And at least we get the women under control. They don't care that much. They be like, listen, I don't want to live in a castle. I just need a nice mansion. I want to enjoy all the power and accoutrements of the capital class right now. I don't care about the dragons.
Mm-mm.
Can you imagine like Ted Cruz trying to hop his ass on a dragon? Man, they'll eat his little tasty ass up like fucking BLT. Anyway, I can't wait to see what the rest of the season has to offer. I'm sorry, I can't stop thinking about can you imagine Republicans trying to ride dragons? Dragons won't respect them at all.
Mm-mm.
Ain't nobody scared of them. Like everybody that hopped on the dragon in Game of Thrones was a motherfucker you didn't want that smoke with.
No, you did not.
You know what I mean? You see somebody that got a dragon, it's like, it's not just the dragon, it's also them. It's like, I don't want to fight the fair one with Dany. I don't want to fight the fair one with Jon Snow. Like, I'm not scared of none of these Republicans outside of the goddamn the legislation chamber. Like, what name of the Republicans whose ass you don't think you can beat? Like, it can't be a big list. Like, I'm sorry. I wish Game of Thrones. They would be the first niggas to die if we was Game of Thrones. You could just pull a sword on niggas. First niggas to die. They can't all be Joffrey.
Right.
Anyway, all right. I can't wait to see what the rest of the season has to offer, even though it was only one episode. I love seeing the ancestors of characters we already know interact with each other. I didn't read the books, but knowing my heart, the Targaryen style Jaime is going to be a problem. And for some reason, Rhaenyra gives me Lady Olenna vibes. Can't wait until the next episode and y'all's next recap. Fare thee well, Alicia. Thanks, Alicia.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we got one last one. Chris writes in, my guy, I'm listening to the House of the Dragon recap right now, and I'm hollering. When you said Balon Caesarion Targaryen, I died. Literally one of the best podcast episodes in history. Christoph, thanks. And once again, like I said, I heard that. I saw that on Twitter. Everyone was saying. I thought that was his damn name by the end of the time I got off Twitter. So I definitely didn't come up with that. Just spreading on something I thought was like no notes, perfect writing to y'all. All right, that's it, everybody. Thanks for listening. Had a great time. I hope y'all had a great time.
Me too.
We'll be back with more episodes this week. I know Tuesday, my brother and this artist that he's producing, I believe they're coming on the show for a little bit. Of course, Wednesday is, of course, the Game of Thrones recap. So you know how we do, y'all. We'll be back. And I'm trying to think, is there anything else? Yeah, that's it. If your premium movie review coming out soon, and we just put some stuff in there for the Just the Tippers on Spotify. That's it. We'll talk to y'all soon. Until next time, I love you.
I love you too.
Mwah. Bye, everybody. Peace.